Hello and welcome back to the Magic Ball Grid. My name is Andre, and thanks so much for tuning in. It's a Sunday afternoon, and we are playing on Jinteki.net in the casual lobby right now just to warm up, and it is Max versus HB. Good luck, thanks, you too. So I need to explain a bit about this deck, but I'm going to mulligan just because this hand is unconditionally terrible, and then we'll get into it. So recently somebody asked me, what's a fun deck that I can bring to like casual slash competitive tournaments that's going to be a lot of fun to play? And I highly recommended something that I've been playing for a while called Max 102. And you'll notice this number here, it might be a bit small. Let's zoom in. This deck itself runs 102 Anarch cards all in one max shell. And it's pretty absurd. I've been playing this for a while now, and it actually does relatively well in competitive environments. And I kind of recommend it. It's a lot of fun. The idea here is, well, let me explain. I'll do my turn first. So R&D is open. Getting a single axis is not that great in this matchup. I just don't think it's worth that much. So I'm going to play the slow and kind of credit up, put Liberated down, take money off it, and put Daily Casts on so we're just set up. So the idea is that Anarch has a lot of cards. When Arc Lockdown was released, I was kind of unexcited to play Max. The reason being, if they played Arc Lockdown and they got one of your key assets out of the game, that was it, or one of your key cards out of the game. So I thought, what's the only way to counter that directly, which is run more copies of cards. We're also going to have to be constantly looking at the heap. Okay, that's good to know, I guess. So we decided to run a whole bunch of cards. Oh man, I got a lot to do. I gotta move my camera. I gotta do everything. Okay. Whew. So it's running 102 cards. A lot of the good breakers is basically all the good Anarch cards and nothing out of faction. I think we have 3 influence considering we spent 12 on the most wanted list cards just because they're really good. I think we want to check R&D right now. Vigil putting down is not so good because they have very low hands. So let's just get some pokes on R&D. Or probably money up and then put down Earthrise. That's our entire turn. You really need good card draw in this deck. That's an Architect. That's good to know. We can take money and put this down. They're going to res what I assume to be an Adonis campaign and some sort of upgrade. I mean, Breaker Bay Grid. Okay. So the question is, well, not the question. The idea was, if you're playing Anarch, you have many ways to deal with like specific problems. Like if I hit a code gate, I need to draw either my Yogg, Black Orchestra, a Knight, a Faust, or a Parasite. I basically have, I think that's 5 or 6 options that I can possibly draw that will let me get through that one particular piece of ice. So the idea of putting 102 cards in the same deck actually didn't seem that bad, and it was just basically having unlimited, having a free card draw ability and running all the good Anarch cards. And this deck has actually been doing surprisingly well, considering how much you could attribute to high variance. So for instance, now we're gonna mill 2 cards. Let's take some clicks. So Day Job, I've had worse in the bin. We're going to have to pay attention to this. This is going to get out of control actually pretty fast. But we also now drew our Mimic, which is really good because we're pretty sure one of these cards is an Architect. And we also have our Medium. So I think we can put down some pressure right now. We probably want to check this. It costs 5 credits to trash, which is not something we have to do right now. But this corporation doesn't seem to have a lot of ways to deal with to make money. So I'm going to argue that we probably just trash the Adonis campaign and see what this piece of ice is. If it's something like a next bronze, we're able to parasite it, which is good. If it's a next silver, we're also parasite it, albeit a bit slower. And it's a Turing. So we can click through this if we want. We don't have that many good ways to deal with Turing. The best is actually Knight. Oh no, you can't use Knight on Turing, right? So if we click through this, trash for 3, we have to discard a card, and that's fine because we have to discard a Vigil. Well, like Vigil is not that great anyways, so we're going to go for it. It's a shame that we can't trash the Breaker Bay Grid, and there's a chance they'll put an Eve in here. And that's our entire turn. The good thing about having Drip Economy and Drip Card Draw between our ability and Earthrise, it doesn't matter entirely that we just spend our whole turn clicking through an ice, because stuff is still coming in and we're advancing our board state. So a good question is, why are you running 102 cards? Well, it turns out if you do the math, if you start with 5 cards in your hand and then you draw 3 cards every turn, or mill 2, draw 1, you actually perfectly have 32. No, I'm entirely kidding. I only had 102 sleeves of the same color. That's the only reason why we're doing this. I actually like the 102 number. It's going to be a bit difficult for me to cut cards, which is pretty funny considering we already have 102 of them. But actually, I don't think things here are too bad. We might flood up right now. The fact that they just drew it with Jackson is really good because we can put our Vigil down. It's really important that we find some of our key cards early. One of the weaknesses, admittedly, of this deck is that we don't have many multi-access cards. We're kind of relying on Medium and Deja Vu. Alright, so this is actually really good. We have a Deja Vu, which can pull us up a Parasite and a Data Sucker. They threw some cards out. We still know that we have to respect Architect, so I think we're still going to set up this turn. And I think the good way to do it is put down Armitage. Put down a same old thing just so we have that ready. So we put down Armitage, we're at 2 credits. I don't think we need to put the Vigil down this turn, just because we're already going to be drawing a lot next turn. So we put this down. We're at 2 credits. If we use Liberated Counts, we can also put down same old thing and Mimic, and I think that's fine. So that's first. Liberated's better. That, and then let's put down. We know we're gonna need the Mimic for sure. We're actually pretty good. We're pretty set up. So Anarch recently had the release of those Conspiracy Breakers. And the Conspiracy Breakers are super good in Max. There's a chance this deck is running Arc Lockdown, so if we do get a Conspiracy Breaker into the bin on our draw, we basically have 1 turn to face check into a Code Gate or a Barrier, or even a Sentry, to be able to pull up the respective Conspiracy Breaker, just because you don't want them hanging out in the heap. The fact that we have so many of them is kind of good. What's this? What is this? We're also running Cutlery. We're running every good Anarch card. This could be a Biotic Labor. I mean, Accelerated Beta Test. I think regardless, we want to face check into this. Like, what's the worst it can be? We can deal with Sentries, but then we're going to have to throw out too many cards, so probably not. I think we just want to set up R&D pressure. Street Peddler on the table gives us access to Wanted Destruction. No, it doesn't. That's a shame. Another Street Peddler and a Deja Vu, so I guess we're just going to have to do that. So this time around, Retrieval Run's dead. Black Orchestra is good, and Same Old Thing is also pretty good, so that's good. If they score an Agenda next turn, Vigil's going to go online, so I think we want to put Vigil down. And last click, I think we can just take 2 credits. Next turn, we'll probably put down Mimic, Medium, and run R&D. Hopefully this isn't a Fairchild. If it's a Fairchild, we can kind of deal with it, Black Orchestra. I think it's actually super expensive. Maybe we can't. So let's just take some money in. I'm going to take the Liberated money. That's more money. I don't know what this server is. Like, if that was an Adonis, I would assume they would have trashed their Jackson and put something back into Archives. I mean, put in something into Server 1. There's a big chance that that actually is an Agenda. But I'm okay with them scoring 1, I hope. Okay, good. They're still drawing up. So this Vigil is definitely going to fire, which is awesome because, again, we just need card draw. We've already gone through 42 cards in our deck. Like, that's incredible. We have a rig that's like entirely comparable to standard standard Ender deck. The face when you look at Max's deck size. Alright, so they're doing nothing this turn. I think our opponent just realized that we had 70 cards in the stack. Yo. I think yo is accurate. Is this real? Seems real. I have a good rig right now, right? Like, I have everything we kind of need. If they res an Ichi, we forked it. We have access. Deja Vu is super potent in this deck. We should be checking this more often. The fact that we have 2 Paperclips is good. We want to run and get this up before they potentially like draw into their Arc Lockdown. There's a chance they're going to tunnel in this matchup and just draw into the Arc Lockdown as much as they can. Friends in High Places is going to install 2 cards from down here. I take it this is an Adonis and a face down Ice. I'm going to have to probably shrink my camera. I'm going to get rid of this black background just for a second, just because I don't know how to resize it on the fly. I'm going to have to move my camera up here just because I know the heap's going to get really, really, really big. Oh, so they just trashed Jackson Howard. That might be a goof. They probably... I don't know if they wanted to use that or not. So they have Adonis campaign into server 1. And then something into server 2. Right? Oh no, server 2 they put something there before. So this actually might be an agenda, which I might be okay with, right? I think if we just put down medium, that's probably the closest way we have to win. Like even if they score this turn, the fact that they have no ice on R&D is going to be punished heavily. What did we throw out? We threw out Queen's Gambit and Employee Strike, both really good cards. We can consider Same Old Thinging into the Employee Strike at any point in time, but I don't think we want to do that just yet. I think we're going to put down the R&D pressure. There is a barrier. We can get out our paperclip, which we don't want that hanging out in the heap as long as we can. This is a really good rig. Okay, so it is, and I think we install paperclip on here just because this is one of the better programs to deal with Eli. If we drew one of our scrubbers, we'd also be in a really good spot. So we see an architect off the top. We can just click with Armitage. There's also an argument of making an entrance first. We could also parasite this. We have the MU for it, so we could Armitage, parasite this, and it basically puts him in a fork. We could also we can't surprise him with the instant parasite, can we? I think there's also an argument for hitting Armitage up once and running HQ, and is hoping this isn't a Fairchild 3. And even if it is, we can trash a couple of these cards. Like, that's not the worst. Yeah, and I'm okay with him spending 12 credits. That's the thing, if you install all these cards... let's just run HQ last click. If you install so many cards, Fairchild 3 is easier to deal with. So it is an Architect, that's fine. Break it for 2. And now they're down to 2 credits, so they can't actually score an agenda. Well, in theory they can if they resent the Adonis here and they'll have enough money. Single Axis is a Vitruvius. It was likely there's an agenda in there based on how hard they were drying up. Whether or not we need the frantic coding, I think we're actually set up in a way that we probably don't. Like, we have a Sentry Breaker, we have access to Code Gate Breaker, and we have an access to a Barrier Breaker. This is only good for Faust, but I think it's not that great in this matchup. It's a bit unfortunate it forked, just because we can't fork the Architect. Oh, this is just money. That's ideal. That's actually really, really good. If we draw one of our Scrubbers, we're golden. But otherwise, like, next turn, we put a Parasite on here and probably instant trash it, unless they put Ice up in front of there. And that's going to be okay for us. Wow, they made 5 credits at the beginning of their turn. Okay, well, they're playing this smart. And they're playing around Vigil, which is good. We have a Spooned, but we're still going to have to break Turing if we want to get something into it. And with only 1 credit, maybe we overextended because we can't contest any of these. We lost a Knight and a Data Sucker. That's not that bad. So I actually like Armitage in this deck. If you click for 2 credits, it's like pretty decent. That's kind of like Magnum Opus. But obviously not permanent. So to put on the most pressure, what do we have to do? This drip economy is really annoying, but that means that there's agendas in HQ. So I might actually just fire this 3 times and then run HQ. That does give us the ability to... I also want them to res something just so both of these cards are online. Do we have a knifed yet? No, that's fine. So we get to throw something out if we do that, and I think we'll throw out making an entrance. We're set up to a point where I don't think we need to play this. We could also play this now. I don't know what we're looking for right now. Like Caddy? Caddy would be nice considering we know we're going to need money throughout this game. But let's probably just do this 3 times and run HQ. It's Magnum Opus. Any Magnum Opus. They're getting in 5 credits at the beginning of every turn. That's really rough. Double Architect. Great. Guess we're in already. We might actually get an agenda here. It's a Fairchild period. That card is actually really hard for us to break. I think we have to slow Parasite that. It's a shame. I feel like things are getting a bit away from us right now. We really need... If we draw a forked, we're good. Also, I think that turn they probably should have just purged, because we have enough enough counters where we can actually hit something on R&D and evaporate it with Parasite, and I don't think they respected that. We also have 5 MU. I think the worst card in this 102 deck is actually Mem Strips or Mem Chips, the 3 MU virus thing. Yeah, this one, Mem Strips. And it's unfortunate we have to run it, basically, considering you just run out of MU otherwise. We're not running Cipher. I think we need the card draw. So this could be a Fairchild 3, which would suck for us. And we still don't have cutlery for that. If we run first click, we want to put a... Yeah, that could be hard. Also, Macrophage is a new card. That could be a problem for this deck. Same Old Thing gives us access to nothing in particular. Wanton Destruction is a really good card, but it's a pretty bad Same Old Thing target. I think we would actually argue that we want to trash this Eve before he gets out of hand. We could use another money card. This deck's actually pretty difficult to pilot. You have to know what's in the deck and you have to know what you want. Like right now we need stronger economy. And in terms of like economy sources, we've seen 1 Liberated, 1 Daily Cast, and 1 Armitage, besides like event economy. And there's much more in the deck. There's 3 Caddies. There's obviously 3 of each Liberated and Daily Casts. But we haven't seen them just yet. So they're in the bottom 60. Which is like totally not unreasonable. Test. Hey. What's the chance of running Archives is really bad for us because there's a Cyberdex in there? It's actually kind of reasonable. If they're spending all their servers on this, it either means that they need this money because they're running big old ice, or they don't need these servers and they're just for money and they'll fast advance from hand. We're not running Clot, but they could respect a Clot in theory under Street Peddler. What do we do? I think we'll actually just draw once. Okay, that was useless. Armitage, and then we could put down Earthrise Hotel. It's a bit expensive at this point. We might just want to prepare. I think if we put down a Parasite on any of these pieces of ice, they'll just purge next turn. So maybe just clicking for credits is the right play. I think we have enough draw setup that we might not need this Earthrise. And that's that. We can also play one of our Frantic Coding just so that we get enough cards in the bin that we can Deja Vu for Caddy Jones. And Deja Vuing for Caddy Jones is still okay, as long as we know this game is going to go a bit longer. The thing is, like, if we have enough money and they don't have defensive upgrades, if they're trying to score in a remote, I don't think they're capable of doing it. Like, we have all our breakers, we have access to Knight, and Knight is super good against some of the bigger options in this game. They're also not purging, which I think might be a mistake. And we're probably going to get a Vigil draw this turn, which is really good. So, right, we've gone through like a lot of cards. They have 25 cards left in their deck. There's probably 2 agendas in HQ. I know they did Jackson up, but they didn't shuffle with it. So unless these are Jackson cards, which is incredibly risky, they might actually be in HQ. So if we draw Wanton Destruction, that's probably the best. Wanton is a bit countered currently by Friends in High Places, which we know this deck is running, and assuming it's not only running 1. They're only clicking for 2 credits. They have a lot of money. They really do. And we have day jobs, so I think we can now actually like spend a lot of money and make a bunch of accesses here. Ideally, I think we want to run R&D first, just so we can instant Parasite this thing. We haven't seen any next dice, so like Parasiting and Eli is probably okay. So let's put that on there. If we hit into a Macrophage, it's going to suck. Let's see if we actually hit a Macrophage. If this is a Fairchild, it's actually not that bad. Oh, Black Orchestra. So Black Orchestra means it's cost 6 to get through an entire server. I'll do that just because we do have day job. Oh no, MU. Fuck. Shit. That's fine. I think. Yeah, this one we can actually bring back. Let's see if we get Arc Lock down here. So we know there's no CVS on the table. The fact that we're deleting the only barrier on the table is also probably a problem. But I want to use our Data Sucker counters before they get wiped. And we're going to still see 2 cards, which is nice. We still have 2 credits in which we can click day job up. So, card from top of the deck, we have an Ichi 1.0 that's coming in. That's fine, we can deal with that. And we can also forked it, so it's actually ideal that they res that. They have a Jackson Howard, which we can't afford to trash. Sorry about that sound. So I'm just going to click for 2 credits. That's why we need the mem strips in this matchup. And these are all really good cards. Queen's Gambit is technically good, but we don't know what they're going to be installing in any face down card. If they were installing like empty remotes, which I don't think they will, Queen's Gambit gets a lot better. Next turn we can just day job up. as unexciting as it is. And now we can get shots on R&D for 3 credits, and we can also spoon this. And I think we're going to spoon this. And we're probably just going to try and win on R&D. The fact that they're not respecting this is really good. So I think this turn we day job up. By the way, we lost another Wanton Destruction. We can also now deja vu for 2 parasites, which is good. We have the answer to this. So I think if we day job, next turn they're going to score an agenda, and then we can spoon this and maybe see like 6 or 7 cards. That seems really good. So single advance could be advance, advance, advance. Vitruvius or corporate is also could be an accelerated beta test. Oh, corporate sales team. That's good. We're also going to get our vigil. So ideal sequencing. This is, sorry, there's no way for me to get, let's see if actually I can move this too. If we go right up here, maybe we can see everything. I don't think we're going to. This is going to be a nightmare. So I think first we spooned R&D. We can't lower the strength, so we actually just have to break it classically. So we paid a bunch of money for that. And we're going to see 3 cards here. Adonis Campaign. We can afford to trash that because we'll still have money for Dirty Laundry. Biotic Labor. And Accelerated Beta Test. That's good. And now we can Dirty Laundry R&D. I know they drew an Ichi, and that's still something we can face check into. Also, they might put a Fairchild just Fairchild, like Fairchild, on that server, and that actually could be good for them. Quicksand's coming up, and an Eve campaign, and an Ash. So they might actually try and score in a server. We can go twice more. There's a chance we'll hit a Cyberdex Virus Suite, but like, the other option is to run here. I think they're going to purge next. Like, they have to put an ice, and then it buys them another turn, then they have to purge. So I'm just going to get this as large as I can. So they have a Quicksand, they have an Ichi, they have a Fairchild. They're going to be drawing up a Biotic. Oh, that's a food. This is good. And maybe we could just close the game right here. It's not unlikely. We'll see 2 more cards. And if this doesn't work, I think running HQ will close the game. Alright, so that's an Eve. Okay, Ash, now we have a new card. That's a food, and we just close the game off. And a Caprice. Hey, good game. Thanks, you too. So they did overextend a bit on server 1. They thought the Lotus Field was going to be fine, considering it's 3 to trash. We are running 2 spoons, so the chance of us finding it is, you know, that's everything in this deck. Like, the chance of you finding it is not entirely, like, I don't know if you will all the time. But we did have our answer for it, which is really good. And the early mediums were really strong. I think we were in a good board position regardless. Like next turn we would have gone HQ, which would have been really strong. And let's just look a bit more at our stack to see what would have come up. Yeah, so things would have been fine. We would have drawn an Armitage next turn and a Retrieval Run, which is pretty good. And we just kind of wanted a Caddy Jones at some point. And then I think we could have camped stuff. We do run Rumor Mill, so even if they want to score with Ash and Caprice, things are pretty okay. Anyways, that's Max 102. It's a really fun deck. I'm going to play a couple more. I might actually try it in the competitive lobby. I have been playing this deck competitively, and it's been doing rather okay. Like, surprisingly good for how inconsistent you'd think it was. And I think that just kind of speaks about Anarch. That they have so many ways to deal with the problem. Like, specifically, I mentioned code gates before. If there's a code gate we need to get through, we have so many options. Like, we have Parasite, with or without Data Sucker. We have Night, which is sometimes good. Especially for Archangel, it's really good. And then we have Black Orchestra, we have Lotus Field, Yogg, and we also have Faust. So the chance of us drawing an answer to a specific problem is actually relatively high. And for that reason, I think this deck is pretty exciting. Thanks for watching. Ciao.